Spider-Man, Death Becomes Her, National Treasure, Star Trek the movie. You probably recognize these beautiful stairs because they were the episodes and the part of the film was filmed right here in the Greystone Mansion, up on a hill in Beverly Hills, California. The City of Beverly Hills has been very gracious to open this up to us for filming so that we can show you. So when you're coming through Beverly Hills, or if you live here and you haven't heard of this, that you can come and tour the grounds for free during the day. They also rent this out for weddings and special events. We're going to take a tour of this beautiful mansion, and it truly is a mansion. And this mansion was built by the Dohenys. Mr. Doheny was an oil tycoon, and he gifted this to his son as a wedding gift. But there's a little bit more behind that story, and we'll find out about that. We're looking at the front of the Greystone Mansion, and to put this into perspective, this house is about 46,000 square foot. Now, a large house that everyone's familiar with, which is the Hearst Castle, which sits up in San Simeon on the Big Sur area, that's 90,000. So if you're going to say it's half the size of Hearst Castle, yes, but it's half the size of Hearst Castle. This is a mammoth house, and think of 46,000 square foot. That's bigger than most grocery stores. Now, you've seen the staircase, but I don't know if you recognize the railing system here and the craftsmanship, the workmanship that's in this. This was carved in place, and that's very rare for this type of work. Usually it's carved inside of a shop and brought on set. They'll make a template and then they'll go back and carve it and then bring it onto the place where it's going to be permanently placed. And all of this, another neat thing, back for its time, 1927, hidden ventilation system. Keeps the house nice and cool throughout, or warm in the winter, but you know, Los Angeles usually has pretty perfect weather. They painted this all white in the 1960s for the movie Disorderly Orderly with Jerry Lewis, because it was supposed to be like a hospital type setting. And it almost destroyed the workmanship, and they had to take sandblasters. Of course, in the 1960s, it was probably a lead-based paint, which really adhered. And they had to take sandblasters in here very carefully to get it off and bring it back to its natural beauty. Walking through the east and west wing hallway here into the card room. This mansion was built in 1927 and 28, prior to the Depression, and it was the most expensive home up until its time ever built in California, and thereafter for a while. The cost of this was $3 million. And these are not vinyl floors, that's real marble. And the craftsmanship and workmanship of the craftsmen here in California that did this is phenomenal. As I look across the floor, there's not one hump raised lower, nothing. It's all flat, and it remains that way today, even almost 90 years after it was built. This thing was built right. Now, this was the card room, so can you imagine the wagers that were made here with the oil tycoon overlooking the vista out these beautiful old doors overlooking Los Angeles. What you just seen was where the orchestra would play while the balls and the dances would take place in this grand living room. And these floors, these are special floors. These are California oak, and it appears to be parquet, but each individual piece is cut and laid separately. So it's the real old school way to do a floor. And the murals, the paintings, the woodwork, just phenomenal craftsmanship. I can't say that enough, because it's just it's precise, like you'd find in old Europe. We're in the breakfast room, which is on the east wing, overlooking a beautiful gardens and of course the view of the city. This is an original cork floor from 1928, and it's still in pretty good shape. few nicks and dings here, but for a cork floor, wonderful, wonderful workmanship and good quality cork. Now we're going to go into the formal dining room. And this formal dining room has its original oak paneling. And if you notice, this is an old growth oak. This oak may date, it might have been 150, 250 years old, which we really can't get a hold of anymore too easily. And the carving, craftsmanship, the ceilings, the floor, the chandelier, all original, 1928. So you really get a feel for what was going on here at that time, and can relive a little bit of that. We're in the famous murder room, and this is where Ned Doheny, the son of the man who built this that was gifted to, was murdered. And up until just a few years ago, when they refinished these floors, the masking tape that the police used to outline his body was still on the floor, and that was right here where I stand. And there's a lot of different stories that may or may not happen with surrounding this murder. And the funny thing was, it was never investigated that deeply. There's been rumors that the wife shot both of them. There's been rumors that Ned shot Mr. Plunkett. There's been rumors that Mr. Plunkett shot Ned, then a murder-suicide type thing. But they say, if you're in here at the right time, you can still hear and feel the spirits of Ned and Mr. Plunkett. Well, you'll probably notice this room as a morgue in a lot of television shows. Of course, a dated morgue. Oh, look at what we got here. John Doe. Anyway, this was originally used as probably the garde-manger, or the place where you would garnish the food after it left the main central kitchen. Let's take a look in here. Now, there's several unique things about this kitchen. One is it's large, of course it would have to be to service the amount of people that would come through here in parties. But this was one of the first refrigeration units in California. Not an ice box, but actual refrigeration. These are original. They have been refinished, so it looks brand new, but they're actually from the 1920s. Well, this is something you didn't see then and you still don't see now. 24 feet solid stainless steel. There are no seams in here. It hasn't been welded. It hasn't been put together. One solid piece. Well, you know, if you've seen me cook, I can cook great food, but I make one heck of a mess. I would love this in my house. I could mess up the whole counter. You're looking at one of only 2 bowling alleys in the world that is like this. And it is a manual reset bowling lane. All wood pins, really beautiful. It was falling into a state of disrepair when the movie There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis in 2007 was filmed here. The movie production company refurbished it, brought it back to its original glory, and it's one heck of a scene if you've seen the end of the film. We're in the billiard room right off of the bowling alley. This is an original pool table. Now, step back in time. It's Prohibition. You have a big party, you want to throw some extra favors. It's Prohibition. What are you going to do, especially if the cops show up? A bar. Beautiful hidden wall. And can you imagine sitting back in that time? Whoops, here comes the police. We'll just close it up, put the drinks back in there. Of course, there's some food being served, so you're not going to smell the alcohol. Is that cool or what? This is the original firehouse that went with the property. Now, this isn't a firehouse for another community, it's just the Doheny property, which at one time comprised over 400 acres. Now, it's down to 14.5 acres, which still is a large piece of property in Beverly Hills. Beautiful gardens flank either side of this mansion, and a beautiful koi pond here. And I'd mentioned before that the City of Beverly Hills, they rent this out for special occasions, be it weddings, private parties, and also corporate events. And what a better place to have an event than right here overlooking the city of Los Angeles in a beautiful estate with a lot of history.